The Storm Prediction Center has issued a very rare day 3 marginal risk across portions of California, where we have two areas to watch. We have one across north central California and one stretching basically across the whole western coast of California, where we could see an isolated tornado or two, along with some isolated damaging wind gusts. And this Christmas, we will likely see some unusually high temperatures across much of the United States, with some record-breaking temperatures possible in numerous areas. And very few areas have a potential to see a white Christmas this year. So anyways, let's get straight into this weather forecast. First of all, I'm going to talk about the day 3 marginal risk across California, where you can see an isolated tornado or two, isolated damaging wind gusts, potentially reaching 60 to 65 miles an hour, and even some isolated small hail in those areas, along with a potential for some flash flooding as well, as we will have an atmospheric storm moving through the area, which will bring heavy rainfall and severe weather to portions of California. So anyways, let's talk about the severe weather and flooding. First of all, looking at our Storm Prediction Center outlooks, we have no areas to watch for severe weather today, mainly just some isolated thunderstorms across north central California, the Pacific Northwest, and the southern Texas Panhandle here, where we could see some scattered lightning from thunderstorms that will move through those areas there, although there's not a very high chance of any severe weather happening in those areas at all. Next, looking at our Day 2 outlook, we actually have a decent area to watch out for some thunderstorms across western California, although no severe weather, mainly just flooding and some scattered lightning strikes there, and also continuing across southern Texas with those thunderstorms. Look at our Day 3 outlook. We actually have two marginal risks of severe weather, one across central California, mainly north central California, where you have one extending from Los Angeles all the way up towards the Redding area there of the coast, where we could see some isolated damaging wind gusts and even an isolated tornado or two. Looking at probabilities, 5% across those areas. If we look at their discussion, you can see that we're discussing the potential of sporadic damaging wind gusts and a brief tornado with the strongest storm. Not the best setup, but still we could see some isolated severe weather. Looking at our excessive rainfall outlooks, you can see for today we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall across northern California, where you can see some flash flooding from those thunderstorms. You can see our Day 2 outlook here, more flash flooding from our thunderstorms. We have a few areas to watch for our slight risk of excessive rainfall. We have one across northern California, we have a small one across the central coast of California, and then a small one near the Los Angeles area there. And then for Day 3 excessive rainfall outlook, we have a high risk of excessive rainfall across southwestern California, where you can see some catastrophic rainfall. We also have a moderate risk of flash flooding surrounding that. I think that's near the Los Angeles area there. We also have a slight risk surrounding all the way up to northern California, and we have another slight risk of excessive rainfall across southern Nevada. Next, we are going to look at some weather models. First, of what could happen with a severe weather event and flash flooding in California on Wednesday. And then we will also look at what the temperatures can be like on Christmas for many people to determine who could even see a white Christmas. So anyways, let's talk about the temperatures and the severe weather and flooding forecasts. First of all, looking at our severe weather and flooding event, we're just going to go to the HRRR and going to go to the 18Z here. Hopefully this goes out to Wednesday, so you can see just some flooding over the next couple of days. But as we get into Wednesday, you can see we have a lot of flooding, and you can see if those bands there, that's where you can see an isolated tornado or two and isolated damaging wind gusts. But overall, if there's going to be a lot of flooding near Los Angeles, as there's just going to be continuous rain over those areas across much of Southern California there near Los Angeles. Looking the rapid refresh model, you can see, actually, let's go back to the 15Z here. As you can see, if we go to Wednesday, you can see the flash flooding and isolated severe weather there. And let's just take a sounding from, let's just say here, just to get an idea of what the environment could be here. Leading up to this. Hopefully it loads, maybe not, but either way, we can still look at the convective available potential energy. No, I don't want to generate a sounding. We'll just go with mixed layer cape here. And on Wednesday, you can see we do have some mixed layer cape. Not a ton, but still enough for some isolated severe weather. Finally, looking at the NAM, you can see if we go to Wednesday, we have a lot of flooding near Los Angeles, and this is also where we would see our isolated severe weather event. Let's look at our convective available potential energy here and see if it has a better idea of what it could be like. You can see generally isolated convective available potential energy, isolated cape up to around 300 to 500 there, but that's enough for some isolated severe weather, and things can change. So if there's any upticks, I will make a new video. Next, looking at the temperatures across the United States, we're just going to go to the continental United States. You can see our temperatures here, very earlier temperatures. You can see if we go to Christmas, a lot of the US will likely be above average in temperatures, and we could actually see an Arctic blast a few days after, where you could see some significantly below average temperatures. Let's see, surface products. I guess we can just look at temperatures. So you can see generally above average temperatures, except in the northeast where it will be decently cold. Looking at the GFS model, you can see generally still above average, and then we have that Arctic blast a few days later, where we could see tens of millions to hundreds of million to 100 million people below average there, significantly in temperature. Let's look at our temperature anomalies, and you can see generally we will be above average for the next few days before we get the Arctic blast, but generally we will be around above average for much of the United States to near average for several days here. And then finally, looking at the GEFS here for temp. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go to the continental US. You can see decently warm temperatures before we get that small Arctic blast there a few days later. The timing is somewhat uncertain with the models though on that. Let's go to Anyway, if that's all I have for this video, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel so that YouTube will push this video out to more people. And also, I am very close to 500 subscribers, so if you subscribe to my channel, that will help my channel to reach 500 subscribers. And I have some big announcements for when I hit 500 subscribers, so make sure you subscribe now if you want to hear those announcements. Also share this video with your friends and family, especially those in the impacted areas, so that they know what the weather is going to be like over the next few days, and so that they can stay informed with my channel. And also don't forget to comment down below about what you think about all this. Goodbye.